ITNation Connect 2024 was last week. It's the Monday after. Huge success. Largest MSP event of the year. So many new announcements. So many new exciting things going on. We had a great time. We had Podcasters Row for the first time ever at an MSP event, by the way, not just IT Nation, where we had 9 podcasters set up in their own area, in a high traffic area, just having conversations with attendees, MSPs, with vendors, with ConnectWise staff. Just a wonderful event. Ushering the new CEO, Manny Ravello, as Jason McGee exits, and lots of great new product announcements. I personally had a speaking session there as well, which was a great success. How to help MSPs in sales and marketing with podcasting. There was great after parties with Universal and Stone Temple Pilots, and Tony Hawk spoke, and it was an incredible event. We recorded many conversations, and the following is one of the conversations, and they were all great. It was a high traffic area, so they might be a little noisy, but just a great event. I encourage everyone to consider going to it. Thanks so much for listening.
Hi, I'm Joey Pinz, and here's my 45-second introduction. After starting my business in the 90s, I started developing poor habits of eating in my diet because of working way too much. I found myself at 340 pounds. The doctor told me if I don't lose the weight, I'm not going to see my daughter graduate. I took the next 7 months, lost 130 pounds. People ask me, how'd you do it? What's the secret? I need to lose weight. How'd you do it? How did I lose the weight? Just one word: discipline. I've had other successes in life, and I attribute them all to discipline. Now, I'm not the king of discipline, but I believe that it can help all of us. Friends convinced me to start a podcast. The podcast mission: how do we better ourselves and society? I talk to interesting people in health, fitness, sport, wellness, business, technology, science, art, and culture. And I eventually ask them how discipline plays a role in their life. Podcast vision: growth through learning from others. We're here at ITNation Connect. Man, look at all this. In Orlando, the biggest event of the year, I believe. Thousands of employees here. Ben, what's your message to the employees of MSPs? What's your message to the MSPs, Ben? Great to see you.
Great to see you. Thanks for having me back again. I think the message here is just what we've been working on and what we've been doing with email security for us. You know, taking a new bold stab at an old problem, I guess, is a good way of maybe saying it. Applying zero trust to email security for the first time with our new product, Shield. So it's one of those things that changes the game so significantly. It's hard for us to even explain it sometimes, where we really just want to show it to you. Like, don't take our word for it. Just take a look and see what it can actually do for your users' email experience broadly, but specifically the security and protection problem that is so prevalent today with email, being the number one attack vector to businesses and organizations. So if we don't stop that, we're just chasing the problem. So, we wanted to do that with Shield and come at it with zero trust and really solve the protection problem on email security, but then go further with it. When we realized we did that so well by applying zero trust on the security side, it opened up a whole world of possibilities with productivity features and doing things that have never really been done before in this space. So.
Yeah, definitely a pioneer in the space. I had an interesting conversation. It's really shaped the way I think of these bad actors, Ben. Yesterday, I had Martin Zucek from Bitdefender on, and he was telling me, he's from Slovenia originally, that those kind of Eastern, Russian attackers, there's a great, not only, I asked him, what's the motivation? Why are you doing this to us? And I would just assume it was just capital, it's just money. But he said that there's a lot of resentment because there's strong education there, and they're really good at IT, and they're resentful for many in the East for having jobs at these great companies, and they think it's easy. So they actually feel justified in attacking us because they're resentful. There's actually a sense of resentment.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I mean,
is it new to you? This concept?
That's hearing that's perspective. I think is kind of new, but
Is it surprising?
makes sense why they're so persistent. Maybe,
Yes.
right? There's an emotional component too, beyond a logical one of trying to get money or
Right.
whatever their goals are. They want to
Justify.
show they're better. Or
Yeah,
show
yeah,
they're
yeah.
equal,
That's
maybe,
exactly
like,
it. You're lazy there. We deserve
Yeah,
those jobs.
we can show
And
you
because
how-
we weren't born there, we don't have them.
Right. Yeah. And we can show you we're smart enough to trick you and
That's right.
and
You're
steal
all
from
comfortable over there. We're gonna get
you.
past
Yeah,
you.
you're not safe. So
Isn't
that's
that?
a wild
Yeah.
position to be in. I can't imagine
Exactly.
thinking that way and operating day to day because it is.
And since he's from Slovakia, he has this kind of base foundation, being a former bloc, and right there
Right,
near
right.
Ukraine, and he understands the mentality. So when discussing and trying to figure them out, he adopts that as well.
Yeah.
Fascinating,
Yeah,
isn't
yeah,
it?
yeah.
It's shaped the way I just think now because I just assume they're just trying to get money, right? They're
Yeah.
just, I don't want to say greedy, but they're just capitalists. They're trying to, but there's also this kind of betterment justification.
I think you also look at it from a technical side or a technology side or the internet side of like we kind of created it, right?
Right.
This is our world in terms of it all really
Sure
started
did.
with the U.S. We've always led the kind of innovation front from the hardware in the Silicon Valley days all the way up through what you see now in the software companies are all the leading companies are all American owned, right?
Yes.
So I think there's an element of that too, right?
Yeah.
They want to participate in the world of the internet and the opportunity there, but they don't have an easy entry maybe. So coming at it with attacks is maybe their way of just kind of doing that. So
It's fascinating. So, I mean, MSP has to put all these security pieces together. There's so many layers, there's so many areas. How do you make the justification to them that this is an essential piece?
I think it starts with knowing where you're why do the other layers need to exist? Usually it's because of the entry point being too weak. And 90% I think is roughly the stat of cyber attacks coming through email. So the rest of your stack is kind of defending after the fact, after they've kind of got into your organization or into a user's account or whatever. So if you're not doing the foundational kind of front gate door well of protecting your users, you're making your own life as an MSP much harder down the stack of okay, now we need this layer, we need this layer, we need this layer. It's not that they're invalidated if you do email, so you still need them, but you're kind of chasing the problem. If you secure the perimeter where those attacks are originating from with good email security, now you've kind of shut that wide open door, and your job as an MSP of securing your users becomes a lot easier. You still need those other pieces of the stack to do it thoroughly, but you're not leaning on them so heavily to kind of fill in the gap because your email security has been insufficient.
And a lot, Ben, is also it's the human that's clicking on it, right? This training has to be involved. The mentality has to shift because of these bad actors. So the MSP has to do a good job of really educating their clients.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone's heard me talk before, I have some opinions on kind of chasing the problem with security awareness training. Not to say it's unnecessary. I think it's about what you said though. It's about education, not security. Those are two different things. If you're leaning on your training as a security defense, now you are putting the burden on your users to protect themselves.
Interesting.
They're not hiring you to teach them to protect themselves. They're hiring you to protect them.
Right.
So, in my mind, to say it bluntly, you need to do the right job, do the job they hired you for, and protect them. Educating them is a component of the overall picture, but it shouldn't be again the kind of the default thing we fall back on. Oh well, we can't actually protect you, so let me gear you up so you can protect yourself. That's
difference.
just not the right approach.
Big
I don't
difference.
think.
Yeah. It's just like hygiene, right? It's just what generally look for and these kinds of things. Right. Can help us help you.
Yeah, I mean, imagine, I'm trying to think of a good analogy off the top of my head, so hopefully this doesn't go off the rails, but, if we didn't have police and kind of security infrastructure in the real world, and we just gave everybody guns and just showed them
Right,
how to use it.
right,
It's
right,
like I don't know that that would turn out well,
right.
right?
Interesting.
It's not the right approach in terms of again, going back to like, you've been hired to secure them, to protect them so they can do the work they're meant to do. Burdening them with learning how to protect themselves it's kind of lazy, honestly. So
Very, very interesting. And there's some players here in your field. What kind of separates you?
yeah, there's a lot of players.
Yeah.
Some older, some newer. The one thing that separates us from all of them is that zero trust security principle that we have uniquely applied to email. Nobody else has done it. Some people maybe have tried in the past and failed. It was not an easy thing to do.
Wow.
Mainly, we described Shield as noise canceling headphones for your inbox because that's the real effect you kind of feel when you turn Shield on and all that noise disappears. But we also joke that if you don't do email security or zero trust with email security correctly, you end up with earplugs, not noise canceling headphones, because you just won't get any email. So the delicate balance there is, how do we preserve and protect the tool, the communication tool of email, while also not destroying it at the same time by just making it ineffective, or useless as a communication tool. So, kind of going back to the effort we put into that it was 3 years ago when we set out to do this. We've been around for 22 though. Like, we're not the new player, but we do try to continue to move things forward and find new ways and new products that we can offer MSPs to protect their users. Shield is obviously our new one with zero trust email security, but our differentiation from the market started. We kind of diverged in a big way back in 2017 with our email encryption product, Bracket. It was kind of looked at as like, surely this can't be secure, because we made an email encryption tool that was so easy to use that MSPs could literally just put it in their users' hands and they would go with it. No apps, no plugins, no training required. And more importantly, the users they're communicating with, who are typically not technical, could receive those messages and open them, and you didn't start support tickets for the MSP that are 3 levels removed or whatever. So Bracket solved that problem so uniquely in that day, especially, and still to this day, where we create security tools that are easy and accessible for end users. And we don't just do that to be kind of like the software company that can make user-friendly tools. It's because there's a concept there of like, if your security is not accessible, it's not as effective. Security without usage is useless. Like, what we were seeing again with email encryption was those tools were so hard and cumbersome from users to use, they just fall back to regular email. Well, they're not more secure if they're doing that, right? They're not even compliant in most cases. So what we've prioritized over the years, like, again, going back 7 years to Bracket, is that user experience, because we know it has a direct benefit to the MSPs. It is a product that's easier for you to deploy, easier for you to manage, easier for you to support, which translates to a better bottom line for MSPs.
I asked Martin this yesterday, but knowing that these bad actors are out there, knowing that there's just, you have to stay one step ahead of them, does it keep you up at night, Ben?
I don't know if this is the right answer, but no.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been doing this a long time. We tend to think not reactionary, but deliberately about where we want to go with our technology, where we want to be, always kind of understanding where the world's out, but trying to get, everyone's guessing to some degree where it's headed. So no, I don't worry about that. A great example is just, going through SOC 2 compliance and all the fun hoops that you got to jump through with that.
Yeah.
We did, a pen test, obviously. And the pen testers literally gave up because our infrastructure is designed in a very dynamic way. They couldn't even figure out the endpoints to attack.
Wow.
And they wanted us to give them like kind of behind the scenes information and access. I'm like, I think that kind of defeats the purpose, right? We were pretty proud of that. Like, we've been around a long time. We understand good security principles. We try to build our products upon them. Hence the starting with zero trust for Shield. But that kind of is an organizational characteristic. Everything we do starts with security.
Is there anything, I think I asked you this last time, but I want to hear it again. Is there anything in the last 30 days or so, month and a half, that you changed your mind on?
Um, for sure. I
Anything.
need to think of a good one probably,
Okay.
but absolutely. I mean, my team and I joke all the time. You know, like strong opinions loosely held. Like we start with the strong direction where we want to head, but when the information we have available to us changes, we will change our opinions. Right? Like
That's great.
that's the only way not to be ultimately die on the wrong hill. Right? So
That's wonderful.
that
Strong opinions loosely held.
yeah. So we do it all the time in smaller ways. Maybe not in any bigger ways recently.
Yeah.
But really, it's something we do probably on a daily basis to some degree.
And that's important, I think. The whole idea of just kind of digging in. I reserve the right to change my mind on any topic given new evidence.
Yeah. I mean, what other option do you have?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
you're not going to be right 100% of the time. And I think the first key to getting to the right place is knowing that going in, especially with something like R&D. When we're going down a path of exploration and trying to figure out new technology or how to apply new technology to old problems like we tend to do, you have to be willing to explore, experiment. Like the scientific method is kind of
Yes,
what
sure
ends up
is.
being applied when
Yeah.
you're doing any sort of R&D,
Interesting.
right? You try a theory, you get some data, and you figure out if your priors are accurate, and you adjust. So when it comes to our product philosophy, our product design, and our product strategy, we do that nonstop, always reassessing on the current data to the point where like we don't have a long-term roadmap. It's one of the kind of standing jokes with us and some of our MSPs who get it now, because everybody kind of wants the predictability of like, well, what are you releasing in 6 months? I don't know. We work 6 weeks at a time,
Really?
with a break in between, and we reassess priorities, feedback, information. So we're always working on the most important current priorities,
Wow.
which allows us to shift quickly. It's another probably unique attribute to our company, and you see that in the output that we create. We move quickly to address any current new problems that arise, new priorities, feedback from these types of events where we can meet with our current partners and talk to some of our future partners, and really understand their struggles and move in that direction to help them address them quickly. They don't want to wait for your next year's roadmap to hear that you're going to do something about the problems they're experiencing today with their users.
So it's so cool. You work on a 6-week cycle. So you work 6 weeks, and then how do you refresh?
Yeah, so we work 6-week cycles. Not every project takes 6 weeks, so like certain things will be stacked within those 6 weeks, and then we take a 2-week cool down period.
Wow.
To plan and reassess, and more realistically, my role being kind of on the leading the direction of that starts halfway through. We take about 4 weeks to plan the next, but we're always listening. That's the opportunity for our partners to influence the direction of our products and where we're working to make that progress for them on a very tight interval. If we met with you once a year and told you what the roadmap for the year was, we would be guessing so far out, our hit rate would be a lot lower. When we're doing it 6 to 8 weeks at a time, we end up producing what people need in that moment much more, efficiently or accurately.
Very interesting. Do many follow this? Do many security companies?
Yeah, I mean, it's based on a book actually that was published by another software company called 37 Signals. They actually got into the email space recently.
Wow.
Not really competitively with us, but they created the Ruby on Rails software framework and some things like that. So this methodology, which is kind of a little counter to some of the really buzzword ones that you hear of, like Agile and Scrum and all that stuff, it's a little more sane. It's a little more sustainable, where we aren't, again, sprinting all the time. We're running at a steady pace, so we can do this for years. And if you look at our company, that's why one of the reasons we've been around for 22 years now is we didn't try to sprint for 22 years, right? We want to be here in a way for our MSPs, in 2 weeks, 6 weeks, and 6 years.
So we talked last time. I gained a lot of weight. I lost a lot of weight. People ask me how. I say discipline. I asked you last time what your role of discipline in your life is. Has it changed at all? How does discipline play a role in your life, Ben?
I mean, That's a big question.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I think there's a need for it kind of everywhere. On the professional side, obviously, getting up, doing the work, staying committed to the mission that you're on requires consistency and a level of commitment and discipline that has to be there in order for you to get the results that you want. But honestly, the biggest progress in my life came when I applied that discipline to kind of the personal areas of my life with fitness, and congratulations on your accomplishment there. But like getting up, working out, having that routine to push yourself physically, mentally, professionally, with my kids, making sure I invest in them, take the time with them, and balancing all of that at once requires a lot of discipline, right?
Yes, it
You
does.
don't want to be the workaholic who gets those things too far out of balance. It's never everything has a season, work, personal life, everything like that. But the discipline of reflecting on how you're spending your time and making sure you're investing it in the areas that need it the most is maybe one of the hardest acts of discipline, right? Because you get tired, you want to be a little lazy, but it's not that's not the right way to go about it if you want to get the right output and the right results. So.
It sure is. It sure is. And there's never a wrong answer, but I'm always interested in different perspectives of this, of how it goes. So it's going to be a great event. Your message to MSPs as kind of a final note here. I mean, look at all these thousands of people here. It's just a big event. Is what?
A lot of people, especially in this space, have heard Mail Protector.
Yes.
And some of them have kind of, they think they know what we do.
Huh.
And I think the biggest thing is to maybe revisit that, because
Interesting.
on March 1st this year, we released Shield, and Shield is different than anything else out there.
Wow.
So it's probably time to update your knowledge on who Mail Protector is and what we do, because it is different than anything else out there. And it is a category that's been around a long time, but we're doing something new and exciting there that is really changing the game for our users.
Very cool. Ben, thanks so much. So great to see you, my friend.
Thanks.
You be well. Thanks. Thank you for listening and or viewing Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations. Please share this episode with one or two of your friends who you think may benefit from the episode. Our website, www.joeypinz.com. There you'll find lots of resources, and you could join our mailing list. Please follow us on all our social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Podcast information, the video version of our podcast is on YouTube. Please subscribe. Audio is on all major podcasting platforms. Please follow them. And if you like it, please consider giving 5-star rating. Would really appreciate that. Thank you again for listening or watching Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations.